So just quickly looking at the box office right now, Light of the World did 2.4 million with literally like no marketing and no budget. And then when you look at a movie that has a decent amount of marketing, was The Threesome, and it only could do $592,000. I'll say one thing: Light of the World was a pretty impressive showing. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing Light of the World. What's about pretty simple premise? This is another kid-friendly animated film about Jesus, mostly focusing on the eyes or following John as one of the disciples, and we are told in a very Cliff Notey movie for kids. So did I like this film? The film did exactly what it's supposed to do. It is a very good Cliff Note story of the parts of the Bible and Jesus' story told with younger disciples, because in most movies you see, right, where the disciples are usually older, the same age as Jesus. Here they decide to make them more like kids and teenagers and maybe like early 20s. And I think that's actually a very good thing to do, to actually just, have it at a kid's level, because yes, you might have, other stories that do explain this at the adult level, but here it is more of, hey, let's bring the kids in and let's have a good time. The last movie that did this was The King of Kings. That's a South Korean budget one that did get distributed by Angel Studios, and that did pretty good in the box office, over $60 million. So South Korea, congratulations on that win. Like, that's a huge victory for that director. And that was told in the eyes of like an author, Charles Dickens, telling it to his kids. Here, it is more on the ground level of taxes and nets and things like that, because even taxes were back in the day. Screw those Roman taxes. Screw them. So anyway, I think kids can enjoy this one. It's a quick hour-and-a-half movie, and the voice acting is pretty good overall. It's going to be voices you've never heard of, and you don't really need the big voice actors for a movie like this. It probably had a very low budget. The animation style, is it the greatest? No, but it's very much playful and good enough for kids to enjoy. You don't need the Pixar level, moolah, moolah, moolah. Here, you have the nice looking one. Look what won Best Animated Short last year. It was the one from Iran, and it kind of had the same style-esque to it. So, style over substance works sometimes, but when you have the substance and style, like for both of those movies, like that the movie from Iran, that was a pretty good animated short. I think that was my top two, so I was kind of glad that one won. Here's the same way where, like, yes, is it the best animated film? No, but it doesn't need to be. It needs to tell the story for kids, and kids can enjoy it. Can you say that it does speed through it a little bit too quick sometimes? Sure, but like I said in the very beginning, this is a Cliff Notes version for kids to realize who some of these disciples were, how did they get to where they're at, and where did Jesus come from. There also were, people in this movie that really weren't shown in other films, like the baptizer. Every time you see that, it's kind of the onesie-twosies that are shown in most movies, but here they actually show him as like a bee catcher, which I was a little bit confused because, like, at the very beginning, I was like, with the hammer, I was like, I thought that was Jesus, and then the baptizer. So that proves me being an idiot that I didn't, I was like, after like 30 seconds, like, oh, duh, I see what they're trying to do here. I understand this character, but I was just more second guessing myself of like, I thought that was supposed to be Jesus, but then you see this person. So it is what it is. But yeah, I think kids can enjoy this one. I think that's just mostly for, will adults be safe to bring their kids to this one? Absolutely. You also might be wondering, what is the violence like in this one? There is maybe one or two droplets of blood. Yes, they do show whipping. Yes, they do show some violence of what occurred from Jesus going from point A to point B, unfortunately. And there are good, I wouldn't say character arcs, but also like Roman soldiers and other high priestesses that are like, second guessing and having that double personality. Even though it's not double personality, but just knowing like what I'm doing is wrong kind of also gives characters or children knowing that, hey, you might have an opinion and you can be wrong with it, and it's okay for forgiveness and understanding that, hey, maybe I was wrong, because that's what a lot of people forget to do nowadays, is to say they were wrong. It is almost like kryptonite for politicians, for media, etc. And this, I'm overthinking it, but when you have the Roman guard, mad at the boy for slapping him with a fish in the face, basically letting him off the hook, basically like, you don't want to see this. You don't want to see this. Just go away. This is an adult kind of thing. So with that, I do think there's a message in this movie of, you might believe one thing and your opinions can change. That's okay. And it's okay to amends. It's okay to have penance. It's okay to say, I was wrong about this. And we are trying to get to a point where even politicians, the people leading every nation in the world, they cannot say that they're wrong for any freaking thing. So overall, Light of the World, it's a good message for kids, for families, etc. Yes, have you seen it before? Abso-freaking-lutely. You don't want this market to be too flooded. I don't think it's flooded, really, because when you look at other movies that are out, movies do rehash themselves over and over and over again without really knowing it. And watch these sequels, remakes, reboots, and things like that. But I think for a movie that had basically no marketing, made $2.4 million in the box office for the first weekend, I find that a success. And I do think that if you want to see it this week, do it, because I don't see it really staying in theaters for that long. But Light of the World did its job. So Light of the World will receive a 3.5 out of 5 Futons, which equals that 70%. So see the critics and user scores gave this one. So critics a 91% with 11 of them. Audience score a 96%. We have one giving a 9 out of 10, a 6 out of 10. So some people are liking it. They're saying it does what it's supposed to do. And I'm in the same way. It does what it's supposed to do through in and throughout. 91, 96, 70. Chase out here with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know this Bluetontopia. You Blue Tony saying watch them a great day. I don't care what to say tomorrow, week from a month, a year from now. I'll every freaking one of you. Peace and love. Peace and love. And let me know if you know who the Light of the World is.